everybody, it's me, Kai Mann, and today we're going to talk about the sign of Aries, the planet Mars, and the first house. And the reason why I want to talk about it in this manner is because this is how I learned it. This is what makes sense to me. And I thought that it would help you understand about first things first, basically the first house, the first sign, and the planet that rules the first house and the first sign. So anyway, even if you're not in Aries, because Aries is the first sign and that's the sign that we're talking about today, even if you're not in Aries, you're going to want to listen to this only because Aries, the sign of Aries may be in your natal chart in a different house or any of the houses, as a matter of fact. And so you want to listen to this. Let's say, we know that Aries, they are about new beginnings. They're initiators. They start things, and a lot of times they don't finish them. So in a particular area, you notice that you're always starting things, but you can never finish them. It's probably because Aries is in one of your particular houses. And that way you can kind of begin to understand, oh, that's why. And this is what I need to do in order to combat that. So even though you're not in Aries, this is something that you want to listen to today. So when we talk about the sign of Aries, Aries are the people born between March 21st and April 19th. They are a fire sign, which makes sense. In order to birth something, in order to be an initiator, to have that courage, there has to be a fire lit inside of you and a fire that's kind of pushing you. So that makes sense. Duality, their duality is masculine, and duality just means masculine or feminine. And duality in this term of being masculine or feminine does not mean male or female. So this is not a male dominated sign. That's not what that means. What that means is masculinity represents aggressiveness. And so that's what that is within the duality. The quadruplicity is cardinal, and quadruplicity really means that there are a group of 4 signs that are into 3 different groups. And the first group is cardinal, the second group is fixed, and the third group is mutable. I like to think about quadruplicity like the 440 relay. If anybody has ever been in track and they know about the 440 relay, you got your first leg, your second leg, your third leg, and the one that brings it home. And that's kind of the same way. The cardinal signs, they are the initiators. So they're the people's, the first things first. They're ones that's going to go in and start a project. And if you know that your friend is an Aries and you need somebody to help you start something, they're the ones that you want to call on. But you don't want them when you're done with something. You don't want to call them in, and you don't want to do that. It's important that we begin to understand who the people are in our space. And so we know how to utilize their gifts, which this is a gift, being a starter, being an initiator, because when we begin to understand the people that are around us, we can actually really see them for who they really are and use their gifts and their benefits of who they are in that particular area. And then, we know which role that everybody really plays in our lives, and we won't be expecting them to do something that they don't do at all. You should have done, well, I'm a starter. I come in and I start stuff. I'm an initiator, you know what I'm saying? I put that fire behind y'all. Like, that's what I do. That's the Aries, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, the polarity or the opposite sign of Aries is a Libra. Aries they are about quick changes, sudden forks in the road. So if you know an Aries, they always starting something new. There's always something new going on in their lives. There's always something changing. Nothing ever stays the same. It's not stagnation with them. They're always, action, action, action. So again, they symbolize new beginnings. They always gravitate towards action. They are the activators and the doers. They are confident. They are headstrong, and they are headstrong because the part of the body that they're ruled by is their head, and they're also ruled by the planet Mars. And Mars is a planet of action. If you know about the planets, Mars is a planet of action. So they also have this uncrackable optimism. You have to have an uncrackable amount of optimism if you're always the one that start things, if you're always the initiators of the bunch, if you're always, you know, Aries are usually sometimes they're leaders. They get people riled up. They're the, you know, the activators or the activists or the doers of the group. They're confident again. They respond to any challenge or dare. All you have to do is dare in Aries anything, and they're like, what? I'll do it. They respond to any challenge or dare. They are intent on getting their own way. When people first meet Aries, their instant impression is someone excited, vibrant, they're talkative. Arians are never faint of heart or half-hearted. They're always all in. That's what you want. If you have to initiate a project, and let's say you're not an Aries, you want to find an Aries and say, look, I need your help because I need to have, you know, this project started and, you know, and done. There are the ones that will help you. If you are an Aries rising, you are adventurous and pioneering. Again, Aries in certain signs, it's so important that you know your natal chart and you know where Aries sits. If you have Aries is active in your natal chart and there's a particular planet sitting within that house, within that sign, then you know exactly who you are and how to manipulate around certain areas. It is so important to know this stuff. Unevolved Aries, they are hot-tempered and childish, which makes sense to me that they're hot-tempered and they're childish. They're hot-tempered because they're ruled by Mars. Their element is fire, so they're always hot. Their nature is always, what? You know, they're ready to go every time. They're childish because they're always at the beginning stages of everything. They hardly ever sit and mature because they're always starting on to the next thing, on to the next thing. So it would seem that, you know, they're the infant or the childish or the baby of the bunch because they're always starting things. So those things make sense. Let's just love them for who they are and understand who they are and utilize them in the areas that they work within. This stuff is important. Like, I cannot stress this enough. They don't finish what they start. And they have short patience. To me, these are what we would call or consider, I wouldn't say the unevolved. I'm going to change that and say that they're, you know, this is not a strength of theirs. It's undeveloped strength. So if they were to develop that particular strength, they would be the bomb. They are the bomb, don't get me wrong, because I have Aries in my chart. And I know when I look at my chart and I see this thing, I know exactly, you know, where I have a proclivity to not finish things. So I'm like, you know, I know this about myself, so I'm going to push within this particular area and get this thing finished because that's what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's so important to know your natal chart and to understand where you have some underdeveloped strengths and how to work within them and utilize them and strengthen them and do whatever it is that you need to do so that you can master you. Anyway, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the planet Mars. The planet Mars is the god of war. It's ready to go. Now, which makes sense that it rules Aries because Aries is always ready to go, right? So that makes sense. It's the planet of the energy force of how we act. It's about our actions. Mars is the planet of action. And we know that it rules Aries. And the part of the body that it rules is the muscles, which means, you know, you gotta have the muscles in order to do anything. If you got no muscle, you just gonna pretty much just sit still and chill. You know what I'm saying? We ain't going nowhere today because we ain't really got the muscle. You know, we don't have no action. We can't really do this thing. But it also rules our boldness and our willing to win, the ability to turn ideas into action and to physical endurance. It keeps things moving. The position of Mars in our birth chart indicates the nature and strength of the way that we act, whether we address challenges or we avoid them. So this again is important to know your natal chart. And I'm going to have you guys to hold on for just a second. I'm going to put this my battery back in. Be right back. Don't go nowhere. All right, so again, it's the position of Mars in our birth chart indicates the nature and the strength of the way that we act, whether we address challenges or whether we avoid them. Again, get your natal chart. I mean, if you don't want to know you, again, that's cool. You can sit still and chill, but that don't help us all in the way that the universe works as a collective. So if we don't know, if you don't know you, of course, we never get to know you, and that's not cool. And then we expect you to do certain things that you can't even do, but you don't know you, and we don't know you, and so it's not a good thing. Get your natal chart. Come on, people. Get your natal chart. Anyway, so again, it addresses how we challenge or avoid things, whether we respond quickly or we respond slowly. It invites us to examine whether we are warriors or diplomats. And again, this goes so much hand in hand with the sign of Aries. This is why they're always, the initiators, the people to start things, they're warriors. Aries, they are your warriors, okay? And again, that too depends upon where their sun sign sits within which house and what planets are sitting in that particular house as well. So I'm telling you, we're going to go through these things, but I'm going to give you guys the gist of what everything is, and then later on we'll go into different houses, different signs where they sit in certain houses and the planets and all those different things as well. But right now we're just going to break it down nice and slow. Yeah. Anyway, so Mars desire. Its desire is to help us to conquer on all levels. Like everything that we do, Mars, the planet of action, wants us to do it. It wants us to conquer it. It's ready. It's that spark that helps us to kind of move forward. And that's because it has that dynamic energy and it needs an outlet. And it's also because its purpose is to spread its creative spark and to stimulate life in all its glory. It wants us to just do things, enjoy, adventure, and be first, initiate, and just go, just do it. Nike is ruled by Mars. Okay, just do it. Okay, just do it. Mars also influences how we either work with or around what confronts us in life. So it tells how you confront things or you don't confront things. You're like, no, not today. I don't want to confront that. And it's because of where Mars sits within, your house in your natal chart. So it also tells whether we display courage and confidence, or we have an inclination to dissemble, or we have an inclination to run, is what that means. Either you're going to face it head on and you be like, I'm out, deuces, I'm out, peace. But anyway, the next thing we're going to talk about is the first house. So we've talked about the first sign. We've talked about the planet of Mars that rules the first sign. And now we're going to talk about the first house. And the first house, of course, it's first things first. And who's first? You. So the first house is all about you. It's about your personality. Of course, it rules the natural sign of Aries. It's ruled by Mars, and it symbolizes you. It's your personality, your identity, how you identify. And it often indicates your physical characteristics. And the physical characteristics that the first house usually represents is the head and face. So I've read things where it can tell that, all Scorpios have these kind of eyes or this kind of skin or whatever. I'm like, whoa, that's deep, It's so important that you get your natal chart. I cannot stress that enough. I'm going to say that to you guys a lot. Get your natal chart. Know who you are. Again, I think that we should not be carrying around resumes. I think that when you go in for an interview, the first thing that they tell you is to bring your natal chart, because in that way they know exactly who you are, what areas that you're going to fit in, or if you will even fit in within their company. That tells stuff right away. And the people that you're friends with, if you guys have natal chart parties, I don't know, I've never had one, but that's a good idea. Natal chart parties, and you kind of talk about things that you're working on and why you're working on it, because it's sitting in this house, you know, whatever. Maybe they do have natal chart parties. I'm quite sure I ain't the first one that thought about that. Anyway, so again, it often indicates your physical characteristics, the head and the face area. It's how the self is presented to the world. It's how you present to the world. It indicates our behavior and how we approach the world. This house shows whether we have a taste for action or we don't. And in throwing ourselves, it also shows how we have a taste for throwing ourselves at the world as well. And whether we seek to dominate or we prefer to take a back seat. You know, some people are always that competitive. They ready to go, you know. Then you got some other people, they just lay it back. They're like, yeah, all right, I'm cool. You know, I'm just going to stay right here. You know, I don't need to start nothing, you know. And so they also, when our first house is strong, we have something special to present to the world. And basically what that means is usually like your people that are actors, singers, you know, gurus, all these types of people, that's because they have a strong first house. They know who they are, you know, they know why they're here. They just come into the world ready, like, let me just give this knowledge, let me, you know, act this scene, let me run this track, let me, you know, sing this song, whatever. They always have something special to present to the world. The first house can help us to perceive whether we are self-assured or self-conscious and insecure, or whether we are inclined to be self-obsessed. So concerned with our own way of doing things that we are blind to the effects of our actions. The first house also represents the point of beginnings. It makes sense. It's first. So of course it's going to be represent the point of beginnings. And also it represents the moment of birth. The job of the first house is tunnel vision. It's self-awareness. That's where you come in and you become self-aware. So what your first house represents is that self. And you not understanding yourself, that's not a good thing. So you got to figure that out. You can't not know who you are. Not in this time, day, and age, because you got a job to do on this planet. We need you to do it. So it explains also and validates the need for the first house to be self-centered or self-focused, but not selfish now. Those things are doesn't mean the same thing. If you're self-centered, you know, some people say, you always think about yourself. Well, I have to think about myself, because if I don't do what I need to do for me, I can't do what I need to do for you either. You know, and I need to know who I am so I know my role within your life. You know, and I'll have you expect me to do something that I can't do because that ain't within me. But if I know that that's not within me, I could probably tell you that, or tell you that's something I'm working on because I'm evolving and I want to master that particular area. But if I don't know that, you know, I have Aries in the 6th house and I'm always starting things in this particular house or this particular area of life, but I never finish them, I'll just keep thinking that, I don't know, I just start things and I don't finish. And you don't never know why, because it's in your natal chart in a specific area. And you can work on that. You can fix that. So again, we've talked about the sign of Aries. We've talked about the planet of Mars. And we've talked about the first house. If you guys have any questions, you know, put them below and we could talk about that. If I need for you guys to like the video, I need for you to share it, I need for you to talk about it amongst yourselves and with me as well too. You can email me, you can, you know, you can call me. No, don't call me. You can email me. You can leave a comment, but leave a comment so that other people, because they might be thinking the same thing and they might have not mastered that particular area where they're communicative or whatever the case may be, and they're working on that. But when you said that, you know, you typed out that question, they said, I was thinking the same thing. I'm glad he or she asked that. So to be bold, be bold. Be bold. Aries, they are bold in a mug, okay? I cannot stress it. Get your natal chart down below. I will have in the description 2 different websites that I love. One I really love is Astro Codex, and I love that because once you finish your birth chart, your natal chart, it has hyperlinks where it tells you what sign is in what house. It also tells you the degrees it was in when you were born. You can click on the hyperlink, go to it, it'll tell you so much about yourself. You'd be like, oh, I'm naked. Anyway, you guys make sure that you watch next week. You thumbs up this video if you are watching it on YouTube. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, like it, share it, you know, regram it. Can you? No, you can't regram it. So you can regram it. Regram it. Share. Share, share, share. Share. Thank you guys for listening. This is Life Astrology. Get with it. Peace.
I want you to show me how to get to know someone like you, someone like you.